Hello and welcome to Absurd Arguments, where we take really dumb things and argue about them. My name is Matthew, and I'm here with my good friend Nathan. Nathan, how are you doing?
Huh? What's that? Yeah, not too great with you yelling in my earphones like that.
Oh, I mean, before we started, I did say, hey, I'm going to come in with a lot of energy.
Yeah,
So,
well, I didn't think I had to remove my earbuds,
mm,
and that because then I wouldn't know when you stopped yelling, and I could
there,
join in.
there's a good point right there. Well,
Yeah.
anyways, it's Absurd Arguments, and we've
Mm-hmm.
stuff to talk about. But before we get into the absurdity, Nathan, you were on vacation this past week, weren't you?
Oh yeah, man. My family, when we hear that there's a hurricane coming to Florida, we go, "Hey, that's our time to go on vacation." And so that's what we did. No, it was planned for quite a while now, um, and so Hurricane Ian. For those of you listening in 20 years from now, um,
If this
yeah, it.
podcast is still around in 20 years.
Hey, always believe. Um, but yeah, we missed a hurricane. No tropical storms. It was a nice time. We had fun.
Good, good.
Yeah, I had some the house we were staying at, we were in this little beach house my mom found. And
Beach houses are cool, man.
yeah, the decorations, a lot of them were like, you know, a bunch of white middle-aged women going on vacation type stuff.
Oh, mm, brings back memories.
Yeah, like one sign said, I'm on vacation time or
Mm.
something like
Was
that.
there like a lot of sand just like sprinkled around the house to really make it, push the point forward that this is a beach house?
No, but the oddest thing to me was they had a. Apparently, I was the only one to notice it at first, but uh, they had a gecko cabinet.
Oh,
Yeah,
like
it was like a gecko. Well, there was a cabinet and a vase was on top of it, and whenever I walked close to it, the vase would kind of shake,
mhm.
and there was a gecko painted on the front of it.
Oh, I thought you meant like they had put like a terrarium and like a enclosure for a gecko, and
Well,
that was
see,
in the cabinet.
here's what was fun: is my little brother and his friend, they caught a lizard, and they showed me the lizard, and they said, "Do you think this is a gecko?" And I said, "No, it's not a gecko." And then I told them, I was like, "I heard there's a legend where if you put this lizard in the gecko cabinet, it will turn into a gecko overnight." And so, you know what my brother and his friend did?
They threw the lizard out the back door.
No, they kept it in the cup they had caught it in, and they
Hmm.
put it in the gecko cabinet.
Oh, that poor thing must have been terrified.
Yeah, guess what? The next day,
It died.
no, the
Oh,
cup was the cup was on its side, and the gecko was gone. I mean, the lizard. Well, he could be a gecko now.
it's Schrodinger's gecko. We'll never know if it turned into a gecko or stayed as a regular lizard.
It's so true. It's terrifying.
Dude, freaking Schrodinger's gecko. That's a good one.
Yeah. Now, now we did this segment a few months ago, but I'd like to bring it back
Oh.
because there were quite a few odd experiences I had on vacation, and it inspired me for this episode's version of which is the worst.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and in this segment, I present to you two scenarios,
Mm.
and you tell me which one is the worst.
You
Okay?
got it. You got it.
Yeah. And so some of these are inspired by my vacation, and so we'll see. Okay. So which is worse, Matthew?
Mm.
Getting, let's say you're walking on the beach,
Hmm.
and there's a giant hole in the sand that somebody dug, and falling into it. Okay.
Okay.
So you fall into a hole that someone dug on the beach, Or you try to leave the beach, but there's a sand dune. But every time you take a step, the sand shifts. And just like Sisyphus, you're like unable to get out. You're like stuck trying to get up the sand dune.
So I either fall into a hole
Uh huh.
made of, dug in the sand,
Yeah,
or
but it's really firm sand.
okay, so I fall into a firm sand hole, or I step into soft sand hole.
Yeah. Well, no, you're. It's still on the beach, but you're just having to go up the little dune hill. You're not in a hole. You're in the
Hmm.
open.
Um, I'd probably walk through the dune. I think I would be able to
Really.
manage that a little better.
Yeah, I almost got stuck on this dune, man. It was rough.
Oh no!
I didn't. Now my brother
Did you
and
make
his,
it out?
huh?
Did you make it out?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good,
I'm
good, good,
I'm
good.
I'm not recording from the beach right now, so
You're not
yes, I did
recording
make it
from
out.
the dune that trapped you.
I am become one with the dune.
You had like seagulls drop off bits of bread for you, and that was the way
Yeah.
that God was making sure that you were going to survive just enough time to make this podcast episode.
Right. My skin is just red leather at this point. I look like a lobster.
Ugh.
All right, that's one. Okay. Okay, so here's one. All right. Um Now me, so I have three brothers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so the way this house worked is there was one room with two sets of bunk beds. And
Oh.
so me and two of my brothers, we're not, none of us are married, so we had that room, and then my brother's best friend, uh, he was in there with us. And so
Mm-hmm.
w- me and one of my brothers, we we don't really snore, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We moan
Oh.
in our sleep.
Oh.
And so like for example, I'll give you an example of mine. It's like a kind of like a zombie.
Kind of like that meme that was going around.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Every time I saw that, I was like, oh, someone recorded me while I was sleeping.
Okay.
Um, Now my other brother though, when he sleeps, it's a more sensual moan.
I
I
don't
will
want to
not.
hear it. I do not want to
I'm
hear it.
not going to be doing it.
Please, please.
Okay, so which is worse? All right,
All right.
having to share a room with us two and trying to get some sleep,
Mm-hmm.
or getting a hotel room near an elevator where the housekeeping staff is really loud in the mornings and you can hear people through your walls talking as they go to the elevator.
Hmm. I'll take I'll take the hotel.
Ah, the hotel.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my my other brother and his best friend, they wish they could have had the hotel too.
Yeah,
One night.
because I mean, for me, like when I'm asleep, I am out. But
Mhm.
when I'm trying to go to sleep, like all of my senses are heightened, and so it can be really difficult to fall asleep sometimes. But once I actually fall asleep, I'm done. Like I nothing can wake me up.
Dude, his best friend at one point just like fell asleep on the floor on the first floor to avoid us. Okay, here's another one. All right.
Nice.
Okay, which is the worst? Uh, being being stuck in an elevator, but it's stuck on the first floor,
Okay.
but it's a really small elevator, like only enough room for
Oh.
maybe two people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, being
Mm-hmm.
stuck on that, or you have to walk on a boardwalk, but it's like old and shifty. So every step you take, it kind of shifts to the left and the right, and there's no handrails or nothing. And
Oh,
it's a really long boardwalk.
oh,
And you'd fall 15 feet if it breaks.
oh, that's a tough one.
Right? Yeah, both happened to me.
I see, I've got a really bad knee, that if I
Yeah.
put too much weight on the inside of my leg, then my knee will pop out of place.
Right.
And so that would just be really bad, especially if it's shifting all over the place. I just take one wrong step and, there goes my kneecap. But the
Hmm.
elevator is
Yeah.
also very bad. On this one,
They're both terrifying.
yeah. What kind of building was the elevator in? I'm thinking way too much about this.
So it's like a 4-story beach house. I mean, it's a nice beach house.
Oh, so it was
There,
in your beach house?
yes, yeah, there was an elevator there, and I took it, and then it's like, we give up. And it just, instead of taking me to the third floor, it took me to the first, and it was like, I refuse to move. And so my brother and his friend found the breaker, and that was
Uh,
terrifying for a moment. And they're like, Nathan, we're going to flip the breaker switch and reset the power to the elevator. And I was like, please don't. But they did it anyway. And it
mm-hmm.
worked.
No, I'll take the shifting planks. If it's not in like a
Uh-huh.
building that is heavily populated with people, like a hotel, I don't want to get stuck in an elevator.
Yeah, it was scary. It was terrifying.
Oh, that's awful. That would be much worse.
All right. This is my final one. Now,
Okay.
you know me. I like, this one is like a cringy social scenario. Well, not too cringy. Okay. So I'm going to paint a scene for you.
Okay.
Okay. So we went to this one cafe, this seafood cafe on the beach.
Mm.
And now I don't usually wear hats, but I have a cowboy hat. Okay. And it was just in my car, and I was like, I need a hat. So I wore my cowboy hat. And so I'm sitting at the table, and the owner of the place walks by, and he just says, "Hey, cowboy." And I'm like, and I go, "Yeah, yeah, that's me." And he goes, "Where are you from, cowboy?" And I was like, "I'm from Texas." And he just goes on, "Wow, we got a lot of cowboys coming from Texas. That's a really nice cowboy hat you got there, cowboy." And then he walked away. And so the next day, it was a really good cafe, Matthew. So we went, but I didn't wear my cowboy hat.
Mm. Mm.
But one of the other workers saw me, and he goes, "Hey, where's your cowboy hat,
Oh,
cowboy?"
no! Oh, no!
And he went on, and he's like, "That was a nice cowboy hat. I'd remember you with that cowboy hat, man."
He obviously and clearly remembered you without the cowboy hat.
I know. And then, okay,
Oh.
so which is worse, experiencing that, like I expected to come back to Texas and be stopped at the border and go, "You poser, you are not a cowboy. Give us that stupid hat and we'll burn it." Okay. So that's one scenario.
Oh, that's
Or
one.
this, yeah, that's just one.
Oh.
Or, which is worse, you drive along and you see a billboard for a bonsai tree farm.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I bought a bonsai tree, and I
Oh,
said,
snap.
I was like, I want to get one. I've never had one, and I think that'd be fun. And so you stop at the bonsai tree place,
Mm.
and you go up, and this is in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and bonsai trees are typically an Asian type thing, right? Okay.
Right.
But you go up, and the guy is sitting on the front porch of this place in a rocking chair, in overalls and a big belly, and you
Mm.
imagine his name is Bubba, and he talks in a redneck accent,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So buying a bonsai tree from Bubba in Florida somewhere.
So you're asking me which is worse?
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
it's
not.
the cafe.
Yeah,
That's the worst.
it's
That
kind of
is
obvious.
oh.
The other one, I
Not
just
not
found it
just
kind of.
not just the fact that an older gentleman was like, "Howdy, cowboy," and kept on going about, your cowboy hat. But the fact that a worker, you went there again, and he was like, "Hey, that was weird. You want to know what else is weird? The same exact experience again." No, that is much worse. I'll buy a
Yeah.
bonsai tree from freaking, I don't know, Tyrone Williams. I don't care who it is. If it's a bonsai tree and I want to buy a bonsai tree, I don't care if it's Bubba, Tyrone, or I don't know, Hajime. I'll buy a
You're
bonsai tree from whoever. I will not. I cannot. Like I don't think you realize this. Every time we go to restaurants around my birthday, I plead with my parents to not tell them that it's my birthday. I hate being the center of attention. I hate
uh,
it.
yeah, you're right. I just thought it was a funny observation that it was this really country place. I
Dude,
don't know what I expected, but
go
you know,
support Bubba's Bonsais.
yeah. No, this is really nice. We got a little nice mini jade. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's our segment of which is the worst.
There.
Thank you for playing, Matthew.
Ugh.
Um,
This is the sole reason why I can't watch shows like The Office, because just the secondhand embarrassment I get is almost like a physical pain to me. I just can't.
that's
Ugh.
hey, that's fair, man. But I live for that cringe humor. That's why I wasn't bothered by it, but I did. I was like, man, if Matthew was here, he'd die.
He told me about it and I almost died.
Yeah. He just kept going on about the hat, Matthew. I couldn't stop him.
Just take it off and throw it at him. It's like, here, you like it so much? Take it yourself. Stop
You are the
talking to me.
cowboy. It's like you are the cowboy now.
Ugh.
But yeah. Anyway, so our podcast is not just recounting our awkward experiences on vacation. It is to argue about absurd things. And so
Indeed it
today
is.
we today we have 3 fall related ones.
Mhm.
Some of these may be more interesting than others.
Some of these might be very nostalgic for you.
Yeah, pleasant things that hopefully most of us have experienced. But although I've found that some people haven't. So with our research today, okay,
Hmm.
mine was to ask friends and family what they think about these sort of things.
Which just so
Uh,
happened to work out that you were stuck in a beach house with your family for an entire week.
yeah, it was hell for them.
I
uh,
hope all of your family listens to this podcast.
they don't, Matthew.
All my family listens to my
I
podcast.
know. I know.
I was with my brother and sister-in-law just the other day, and they were talking about how funny my podcast is. And so,
Yeah, that's great, man. I was so happy for you. My yeah, I won't say it.
Oh, you'll never recover from
I
that. I
I
love
asked
it.
one family member some of these questions, and they said, "I'll get back to you. Let me think on that, and I'll get back to you." And they never got back to me.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Let's see. What was your research?
My research was a different kind of hell for me. I
Mm-hmm.
had to sit through watching movies and TV show episodes.
Oh,
And
fun.
let me tell you, my reputation is on the line for some of my sources because I could not find anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them
See,
are notorious for being bad, and some of them are notorious for just being just a giant cringe fest.
and see, this is why it's good my family doesn't really listen to this.
I see, that's the thing. My family expects things like this from me, to just say something and just everybody's embarrassed, and then I realize what I said, and then I become very embarrassed.
Right.
It's par for the course for me.
Well, cool. Well, hey, let's cue our music and let's start getting into our subjects.
You got it. Okay,
Right. We
so
are.
no, I'm gonna bring it in.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. You
Have
can.
at it. No, no, no. It's clearly you.
All right, so we're gonna start this one off with the least amount, the least amount of sources that either of us had. As we were sitting down and trying to figuring out, what is the essence of the autumn season. Most of the time, it centers around food and drink. Obviously, Thanksgiving is coming up next month, and just one thing that you see all around you is advertising for everything pumpkin spice.
Yep.
And so we
Yeah.
decided to pit the pumpkin spice latte, which is probably the most, I guess, recognizable fall drink, against something that has slowly died off but is making a strong comeback. And that is the apple cider.
Yeah. All right. So my position is I think pumpkin spice lattes are way better than hot apple cider.
To which you are incorrect, but please continue anyways.
Yeah. So fortunately, I uh I have a lot of white relatives, uh lady white relatives, and they all freaking love pumpkin spice lattes, man. Um
Horrible.
yeah, they said they said they just love it to death. It's so delicious and great. Um, but they'd say that you really only they would understand why people don't like it if
Mm-hmm.
you don't like pumpkin. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you don't like pumpkin, you wouldn't like a pumpkin spice latte. But one guy, my brother's best friend, his response was so telling because I asked him, I was like, "Do you like pumpkin spice lattes?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, man, they're great. I love all things pumpkin." I was like, "All things pumpkin, you say?
All things
Like what
pumpkin.
else?" He goes, "Like pumpkin pie."
Mm.
And yeah, all he said was pumpkin pie. That's he he said he said he liked all things pumpkin, and it was just the pie and the spice lattes.
Dude, those are the only two pumpkin spiced things, though.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Now I have one friend of mine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She, I don't know. She gave a pretty darn good reason. She gave multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She said that it's better than it's better. She didn't even call it hot apple cider, dude. She called it hot apple juice. So it's for kids. Okay.
Oh, wow.
She said that pumpkin spice lattes are creamier. They have espresso and milk. There are more spices in a pumpkin pie spice mix. You have ground cinnamon, ground ginger, nutmeg, ground allspice, and ground cloves,
Mm-hmm.
whereas apple cider usually just has cinnamon and allspice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it also has whipped cream on top. Apple cider doesn't usually have that.
Mm-hmm.
And pumpkin spice latte has its own nickname, which is PSL.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody calls apple cider AC or whatever,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, praise Satan is Lord. PSL.
Hey, hey. So she had a great reason.
Mm. Well,
Um,
I want to go against just one little thing that she said.
sure.
She said that apple cider has just two things in it: cinnamon
Uh-huh.
and allspice.
Yeah.
If you have allspice, what else do you need? Because that is all spice.
Okay, bro, no lie. I saw that and I was like, "Oh no. He's got me."
That's right. You've fallen into my trap. You set yourself.
But jokes on you because PSL also has allspice in it and the extra spices.
Gosh, that's too much spice.
Mm,
You just
It's
walked up to
literally
your spice cabinet, just dumped everything in it.
right. I guess so. Now that was my friend Taylor who said that, and her
Mm.
husband Josh, he had a good point about PSLs. He said that PSLs make my wife happy, which in turn makes me happy.
Mm.
Apple cider, though good, has never brought my family joy as much as PSL has. He also calls them PSLs.
I So, folks listening at home, I know Josh and Taylor not as well as Nathan does, but I know Josh, and that is definitely something Josh would say
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Oh, heck yeah.
Uh, apple cider has never brought joy to my family. That's a very strong statement.
Yeah, yep. It is very strong indeed. Now, one final thing to note. To be fair, any guy I talk to immediate other than Josh,
Mm,
uh, and my brother's best friend, they almost immediately disagreed with me and said that apple cider was better.
wow.
So
I think
one,
it's because of the connotation of, being the basic white girl drink for fall.
yeah, one guy was even afraid that if you drink one, you will turn into a white girl. So that's that's
Mm,
what they say.
mm.
What about you?
Yeah, so I found two things on the great television. One of them
Hmm.
was an episode of How It's Made, and they took the time to go into a apple cider factory
Oh,
and they videotaped the whole thing. Now, I don't know about y'all listeners or even you Nathan, but I love shows like How It's Made. I think it's very cool to see how things are, constructed or, even like made in a factory. And so this was very nice because I went through a lot of nothing for apple cider. And so when I found this episode on apple cider for How It's Made, I was very excited.
understandable.
Hmm. So, apple cider is made exactly how you expect. You get some apples, you crush up the apple, or excuse me, first you wash the apple, and
Oh,
then
that. Whew, oh, oh.
yeah, that is very important. But the thing is, they get the apples and they crush the apples whole. And so, like, core and the stem and everything.
Oh,
Yes, and so they chop it up and they get the chopped up thing and they run it between these two like belts that squeeze the pulp of like all the apple chunks and the stems and all that. They get all that juice out. And it's not going to take all the bits of apple in it. It's like apple juice to where you have the pulp in it. And so that's what makes
hmm,
apple cider, apple cider. It's got that little bits of apple that goes through it. And so the process is streamlined. It gets all the apple juice, all the little bits of apple that go with it. They put it through. They chill it to make sure that the sugars do not become alcoholic. So
good.
that is one interesting thing that I learned is that uh, the sugars, the natural sugars found in fruit, if you do not cure them a special way, it will become alcoholic.
You know, my grandfather is fond of sharing a story where he accidentally made alcohol from an apple.
Mm.
Like he had a glass of apple juice and then he hid it like in a shed or something.
Oh wow.
And he forgot about it for like a couple weeks and went back. And my grandfather sometimes doesn't think about it. So he took a swig and it was so gross because he had fermented it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah,
Wow. Nice. I just looked at the video again. Excuse me. I misspoke. It's heated. It is heated to make sure it does not become so the apple cider is cooked in a way.
nice.
Yes.
Hmm.
That is my apologies. I apologize for the misinformation. CNN, please do not come at my doorstep. Um, so but the thing is that it's the rest of the process. You get all the apple cider, you kind of scrape off the foam that comes with it, you pour it into while it's still boiling hot, you pour it into the jugs and you ship it off and go it. But what do you do with the rest of the the apple bits that were crushed to get the juice out.
I'd turn it into a. I would turn it into like a body wax.
Well, you're pretty close. It actually becomes apple butter.
Oh,
And
body
so
butter.
and so, no, thank you. No, it becomes apple butter. So when you're making apple cider, you actually get a 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah.
And so it is actually very, very good. You get a drink, but you also get a good spread for like your toast, your bagels, or anything like that. So it's a 2-for-1 deal.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't sound like it. That
Well,
ain't
here,
that ain't it to me, Chief.
uh, well, hopefully this is up your alley. The next TV episode comes from a show that is infamous on the internet. And this show is known as My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
You brony.
I am not a Brody, but let me tell you about My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, Season 2, Episode 15. The
Does
Super
it
Speedy
involve
Cider
Applejack?
Squeezy. It,
Does it involve Rainbow Dash?
it involves. Hold, let me just read you the synopsis. Before I get ahead of myself, I will introduce all your favorite characters. Maybe, I don't know. I've never seen an
My
episode.
favorite.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode of this show before, and it
Same.
was
Yeah,
it
same.
was is that so?
Okay, read the well.
So the
I thought
Sweet
that
Apple Cider
okay.
season is starting. Rainbow Dash has been waiting all year for this, and she's determined to get some apple cider before it runs out. And so she decides to go at the crack of dawn to the apple cider festival. And would you believe it? There is an entire line of people camped out in tents in line to get apple cider.
I
And
can't believe it.
you know who's there at the front of the line?
Applejack.
Pinky.
No, not Pinky.
Yes, Pinky. Of all characters of who I have no idea, Pinky is there. And she is at the head of the line. And she's the one who had the idea to camp out. And so
Mm-hmm.
Pinky gets several mugs. And by the time it gets to Rainbow Dash, all of the apple cider is gone. And everyone
No.
is upset because apple cider is the superior drink in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, especially around the sweet apple cider season. So the apples, I guess, is the family of ponies. They run out of apple cider, and this is when two brothers, Flim and Flam, roll into
Yeah.
town with the super speedy cider squeezy 6000, which is the namesake of the episode.
You
And
really
they
read
claim
that.
that they can make enough cider to satisfy all of Ponyville in a fraction of the time the apples can even make a bit of their daily batch. And
Uh-huh.
so they begin a competition to see who can make the most apple cider. And stuff happens. Um, the apple cider squeezy machine 6000 obviously is outproducing this family of ponies, the doing things the traditional way. And what Rainbow Dash and a few of her friends decide to do is they want to help the apples because they want to know they want the apples to know that they appreciate all the work that they do. And so all the ponies join together and they start to outproduce the super squeezy apple cider machine. And
Oh
here's the
no.
thing, Flim and Flam, they get a little they get a little uneasy. They're like, "Oh my gosh, they're actually beating us." And so what they do is they turn off the quality control. And so all these bad
No.
apples get put into the batches of apple cider and they
Oh
win.
no.
Flim and Flam win. But then everyone begins to drink the cider from the machine and it is disgusting.
Of
Bits of
course.
apple, including like the stems and the leaves, are popping out of
Oh.
the mugs of cider. And everybody runs them out of town. And the apples claim the victory. And so, therefore, the episode draws to a close.
Thank goodness.
So, yeah.
Um.
So, yeah, all you families with little girls, This is the season to introduce them to apple cider because their
No.
favorite TV show, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, is going to be on their mind. And when they see this episode, they're going to want apple cider. And for all you bronies out there, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's time to man up
Oh gosh.
and stop watching. Oh no, I have laughed my microphone off of position. It's time for you to man up and go out and get your apple cider and show the PSL crowd that apple cider is superior. That is all I have to say.
Yeah. The less we talk about My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is a good day for me, my friend. Uh,
Indeed. At
I
least you
will
didn't have to
say,
watch an episode.
you didn't have to watch an episode
It was the
either.
only episode I could find. There's
You
nothing
could
about
have.
apple cider because everything's about PSL. Everything's about pumpkin spice latte. Listen, people, we've got to rise up and buy more apple cider. Walmart is ready. Brookshire's is ready. Target's got all the apple cider you need. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to go and buy, increase the economy of apple cider. Do it for
Hey,
capitalism. Do it for Uncle Sam. Do it against the basic white girls of America.
dear listener, I think it's clear who won this argument. PSLs for life, baby.
You definitely won because you didn't have to watch My Little Pony.
Yep.
So, anyways, our second one is a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Yeah.
two things that are fantastic fall activities. Nathan, what are
Oh.
they?
Well, we're going to try to debate over which is better, going on a hayride or going through a corn maze. Now, Matthew, your stance is that you think hayrides are better, right?
That is the one that I was given. Yes,
Okay. You ever been on a hayride?
I have when I was but a wee little lad.
So, like last year. Okay.
I am in my 20s. I'm in my late 20s. I am not a wee
Yeah.
lad.
Yeah, sure.
It's probably when I was I had to have been primary elementary school.
Gosh, so last year again. This is fun. My stance was I think corn mazes are better.
Indeed, it was.
Yeah.
Or it
Uh,
is.
Well, what did you find to support your thing?
Well, let me tell you, when you're looking for anything that has to do with any sort of season, the
Mm-hmm.
number one source for all your seasonal intel of what normal people do during certain seasons is the Hallmark Movie Channel.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I not only suffered through an episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, I also suffered through an entire Hallmark movie called
Let's
Love,
go.
Fall, and Order.
Love, Fall, and Order.
Yes. Love, Fall, and Order is about a woman named Claire who is a lawyer in New York.
Ah.
Yes. And she is focusing on her career. And so she just
Always. They
she
always focus on their career.
it is. And she's trying to find Mr. Right, but just know what? She just doesn't relate with anyone in New York City.
They're
And
all
so
just jerks. They're all
I
jerks in
know.
there.
The big city boys are always the worst.
Yeah.
And her dad, her lovely father, is being sued over a plot of land.
No.
Yes. This plot of land happens to be the section of the family farm that has the annual fall festival run completely by her father.
Whoa.
I want to point this out. It shows a few people like helping him do stuff, like setting it up,
Yeah.
but the entire movie makes it seem like Claire's dad is the only person that runs this thing. He plans it, he gets everything together, and then he calls for people to come help him set up.
Yeah.
So this is a hard-working man.
I I respect Claire. Does Claire's dad have a name?
Yeah, dad.
You know, I would get onto you for your research, but it is a Hallmark movie,
Hmm.
so I could see him just being cast as dad.
Yeah, I don't think I can't remember any time of them mentioning his real name. She just always
Henry.
called him dad or my dad or your dad. That's all he was ever mentioned as.
Henry
So,
seems like a good name, like a good
mm,
hardworking dad name.
yes. And so her dad's being sued over the plot of land of the fall fest, which the fall festival is on, and it's by their next door neighbor who has tried to purchase that plot of land, but her dad just never sold the land because it's been in their family for 3 generations. And so
Three?
3 generations.
Uh-huh.
And so one day the lady was going through some she was organizing some things, and she found that a deed to the land, and in the deed it's part of the fall festival land is actually her family's property.
Oh.
So this starts a whole lawsuit. And so Claire, being a lawyer, comes back to her hometown, which is in unnamed Vermont town. It's always mentioned as going home to Vermont,
Let's call
which
it let's call it Autumnville.
I think Autumnville is too long. We'll call it Fallville.
Fallville. Mm-hmm.
So she goes back to Fallville, and let me tell you, Fallville has some of the worst things ever.
Yeah, like elevators that get stuck on the first floor.
Okay, not quite. I'll get to that in a second. But what I need you to know is that whenever Claire goes back to her home in Fallville, Vermont, she's trying to find a lawyer to represent her dad, and she finds out who the lawyer against her dad is, and it's Patrick,
No, not it's Patrick.
the same Patrick she went to high school with, who she was always a rival with.
Not him.
So she has a strong distaste for Patrick, but then she goes to confront him in his office. And you know what? Patrick is a hunk. Oh my
Really?
gosh. She stumbles backwards, knocking over a picture frame in his office as he walks through the door because he is not the Patrick she remembered from high school. He is smoking. And it startles her to the point of she doesn't even recognize who this man is.
I'm also startled by attractive people. I start stumbling around and like I gasp. I audibly gasp. I go, and they go, "What's wrong?" And I say, "You're hot."
Yeah. You know what they say, the hot and fresh sign may be off a Krispy Kreme, but the hot and fresh sign is always on for me.
Oh my gosh. Ugh. How many times has that worked on a lady?
I've never used it. A friend of mine on Facebook posted it, and I copied and pasted it for a moment such as this. Anyways, back to Claire and Patrick. All right, so after a few run-ins with Patrick in Fallville, she is reminded of why she has a strong distaste for him. He's always one step ahead of her and vows to never be with someone like Patrick. And so Claire comes to the realization that she is the only person who can represent her dad. And so she reluctantly does it. She does utilize her connections to New York to build a case for her dad, all the while continually bumping into Patrick and becoming
No.
when she sees him with other women, making a mistake of saying that, one woman she was with was his girlfriend, but it was actually just a client of his.
Oh, how embarrassing.
Yes, yes. And so, as Claire continues her journey through the Vermont town of Fallville, obnoxious fall themed events happen everywhere, such as, not limited to, a fall themed trivia night, a
Ooh.
fall-themed tour through the town, a fall-themed marketplace held in the town, and
Okay.
the fall festival run by her dad.
Now, going back to the fall trivia night,
Yes.
what are some of the questions they asked during a fall trivia?
I'm not going to lie, I skipped over this part because I did not care.
The most important scene in the movie, and you skipped over it.
I haven't even got to the point to why I watched this movie.
Okay, fine. Maybe not the most important scene.
Indeed. So, the more Claire spends time, so I will say this, the more time Claire spends running around the town, the more she begins to enjoy seeing Patrick around.
Same.
And then finally, after 57 minutes of this stupid movie,
You
they
gotta be kidding.
finally get to the fall festival.
Hooray!
Finally, 57 minutes. I think I skipped through about 10 minutes of it just trying to get through this, and it was miserable. And so after 57 minutes, we finally get to the fall festival. And would you believe it? There's a hayride. And
Ooh.
so she gets on the hayride with a couple friend of hers, and there's an empty seat. And guess who gets to sit beside Claire?
Ooh.
It's Patrick. Incredible.
Ooh.
And so Patrick and Claire have to reluctantly sit beside each other, to where Claire on the
Reluctantly.
outside sits reluctantly, but we both know the growing feelings that the main heroine of a Hallmark movie feels towards the knight in shining armor of the film.
Right.
And so the hayride begins. And as the hayride goes, hayrides, they get the wind gets blowing, it gets a little chilly. And so Patrick offers a blanket. And so
Aw.
she agrees to take it, and he lays the blanket over both his legs and her legs. And as the hayride continues, just the most romantic thing possible, I'm going to read exactly what happens.
Please.
Patrick confesses that he has never been to a fall festival before. And the two begin to talk about the majestic feel of this fall festival and how it has this energy. They use very vague terms, and they don't ever talk about what about the fall festival they love. They love how it's a majestic feel, and it just has this energy. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so poorly written. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, my synopsis continues.
Yes, thank you. I
Claire,
was like, if you leave us hanging.
no. So Claire can't hide her emotions about the fall festival and talks about the way that it makes her feel. And Patrick agrees with her. And then they stare at each other for a whole 5 seconds.
Oh.
They do nothing but stare at each other for 5 seconds.
Yeah, but Matthew, what kind of staring was it? Was it like a
they stared deeply into each other's eyes, both longing for more time with each other at this fall festival.
Matthew, stop. My heart's going aflutter thinking of this.
The energy and the majestic feeling of the fall festival is staring at each other for 5 seconds after talking about how one of them has never been to a fall festival and the other one loves it. And after the weirdest 5 seconds of my life, someone says that they should all take a group picture together. And would you believe it? Claire has to get very close to Patrick to get in the picture.
Of course she does.
Yes. And then it gets into the rest of the movie. The court case is settled. They have the whole court case, yada, yada, yada. They come to a consensus to where the lady will partner with the dad for fall festival and through the years, stuff like that. And so it gets to the last day of the fall festival.
Matthew, that's great and all, but does Patrick and Claire get together?
Well, let me tell you. In the last day of the fall festival, Patrick leads Claire to a bench made out of hay bales.
Aww.
Yes. And he confesses that he is in love with her. And they kiss, still sitting on the hay bale bench. Patrick asks Claire when she's going to when she's going to go back to New York, and she tells him that she's staying for just a little bit longer, and they continue to kiss on the hay bale bench, and the credits begin to
Oh,
roll.
I want a girl to kiss me on the hay bale bench.
Dude, the amount of orange that was in every single freaking shot of this movie is ungodly.
Wait, it was set in a prison?
No,
Oh.
that's the like fall autumn color is orange. They did
Ah.
nothing but show scenes with the color orange. Now, let me tell you, whenever they shot scenes that was supposed to be in New York City, you want to know how many fall colors I saw?
How many?
Zero. I didn't
Huh.
see a single forest green. I didn't see a single sunshine yellow, sunflower yellow. I did any shade of orange, non-existent.
Weird.
New York City hates fall.
It's
Fallville,
true.
Vermont freaking lives for it.
They do, man. They really do.
This movie was terrible. It was so average. It was so boring. I give it 5 out of 10. I would have much rather sat through stuff that was like so bad it's good. This was just boring. I
See,
hated it.
I don't know. My grandma loved Hallmark movies, and so it was always fun to me. I'd come home from a late night. My grandma would stay up late all the time, and so I'd come home from a late night at work, and she'd be watching a Hallmark movie,
Mm.
and I would joke that depending on the time I walked in during the movie, I could tell what scene it was because the music and all of them is pretty much the same, so I could just listen and go, oh, this is the scene where there's a misunderstanding and they're apart from each other, or oh, this is the quirky meet cute
Dude,
scene.
dude, the music was so unmemorable. I don't know if the movie had any music in it.
It does, trust me. You got to hear it. You got to listen for it actively, though.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Gosh, I hope you meet a girl someday and she's obsessed with Hallmark movies and you marry her and she
And
wants to watch them all the
we
time.
could just mac on a hay bale bench.
Maybe.
It's the dream.
Gosh.
Anyways, enough about hay bales and Hallmark. What did your friends and family have to say about corn mazes?
Oh, did they have things to say, my friend? A lot of them had some good points. Let's see. I'll start with my sister, Elizabeth. I forgot to ask her on vacation, and so I texted her and
Mm.
I said, "This is not a setup for a joke. Why are corn mazes better than hay rides?" And she goes, "I don't know why." And I go, "It's not a joke setup."
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, "I don't understand."
Gotta
And
get
I
on the
said,
same
"Look,
page, man.
this is for my podcast." And she goes, "Oh, I get it now." And she said, "Corn mazes use more critical thinking, they last longer, and they can be really fun."
Your hay bale tractor truck can break down, and that could make it last a lot longer than you want it to.
Yeah. Now my other sister, she she doesn't like I mean, no, she likes hay rides, doesn't like corn mazes because
Oh
she doesn't want to be stuck someplace with wandering around with a bunch of random
mm,
people.
gosh, those
Um,
random people.
a lot of my friends agreed that the best part of corn mazes is the aspect of danger.
It's a
Because there
it's a corn maze.
there is the possibility that you could get stuck in a corn maze forever and die out there.
No, you can just walk through the corn.
No, it's a wall of corn.
Yeah, it'll take some time. You can get out of it.
Or you could wait until winter when it wilts.
I'm going home that night.
No,
Yeah.
you're stuck forever.
I don't care if I ruin the fun of everyone else. If I'm stuck in a corn maze and there is no hope of me getting out, I'm sorry, everybody. I just ruined your entire fall festival.
Now, one of them mentioned you're familiar with the movie Children of the Corn, right?
I know about it. I'm not a fan of spooky movies, but I do know about this one. It's a
I saw it.
Stephen King book, right?
I don't remember, but I
Okay.
did see it like a decade ago, and
Mm.
it was spooky. The kids would come out of the cornfield and they'd kill people.
Whoa.
So there's that aspect of danger.
Yeah.
Um, my friend Josh, unfortunately, kept trying to quote the corn kid. You know that
Uh,
meme that's going around. Yeah.
You've now
Uh huh.
officially outdated this podcast.
I know. I'm sorry. The corn kid meme, for those who fortunately don't know but now will, is this kid who goes, he likes corn because it's got the juice, it's got the knobs. I mean, it's adorable,
It
but
is
everybody's
adorable.
obsessed with Corn Kid, and
It's a news interview, right? Like for
I
a
think
local news
so.
channel.
They said, "Why do you like corn?" And he gave them his reasons.
Yeah, he sure did.
Let's see, but one friend of mine, one one friend of mine sent me an essay, like
Oh no.
like a doctorate level essay on why corn mazes are better than hayrides. Okay, I don't fully understand it, to be honest, and so I'm just going to read a couple sentences from it. Now,
Okay, thank you.
starting off, here was this was my mistake. I asked him the question, and he said, "Hayrides are merely a revelation, while corn mazes are a mystery." And so I go, "That's great, man. But could you elaborate on that?" And he did. He did very lengthily elaborate on it. Okay.
See, that's the problem. You asked a vague question, and he gave you a vague answer, and he was just testing the waters because this thought has
Mhm.
been churning in his mind for years now, and he was just waiting for some outlet.
He's been waiting. He was like, "Oh, finally, somebody I can share my ideas for my corn maze and hayride book with that he's writing." Probably. He said, "Okay." I'm just trying to pick and choose what part of this. Um, he goes, "The first thing, when I agree that a corn maze is better, it in no way diminishes my enjoyment of a hayride, especially when it is with interesting people and when it takes place at
Yawn.
evening, where the changing light, blah blah blah." Okay,
Hmm.
yet the hayride remains merely a revelation, even if I enjoy the same hayride down the same path every year. Now, when I compare this enjoyable ritual with, say, the first time I come to a brand new corn maze, I find that all the same elements of revelation are still present. It is a new sight with new sounds. But there is always something more, which is the element of mystery. It is so strong in that initial moment that I almost feel too reverent to enter the maze for fear that I might solve the mystery. But then
Hold
I
on, hold
enter
on, hold on.
nonetheless. What?
He feels too reverent to enter the maze.
Yes.
So he loves corn mazes so much he does not want to go into them.
But he must enter them. He must solve the mystery.
No, there's a pumpkin pie eating contest just down, just a couple booths down.
He
Go to
must
go to
solve
get
the
it.
mystery, Matthew.
No, he can't. He doesn't have to.
Look,
Oh my gosh.
now
It sounds like someone from Fallville wrote that essay.
the professor of Fallville College.
Fallville
And
University.
and they don't specify what he's the professor of. He's just the professor.
Oh my gosh, Fallville University. Where do you go? I go to
Fallville.
FU.
Yeah. No! No, he does not go to Fallville
Yes.
University. Yeah. So my coworker, he loves the mystery of corn mazes. I think
That's
that's what I could get
incredible.
from that. Now, one last thing I must say.
Okay.
Okay, I asked. Now, this may shock you, but I
Mm.
am friends with people like Mexicans. Okay,
Oh, you don't say.
and I asked my Mexican friend Daniel, and that's not like his primary aspect. But I asked him which is better, hay rides or corn mazes, And he goes, I've never done either. And he's like, I've never even heard, I've never been in the vicinity of people doing those. Like,
Really?
it's never been an option. And I go, is this just a white people thing, dude?
Don't tell me.
And he was like, yeah. Bro, that's white culture. We have hay rides and corn mazes.
Well, of course, Hallmark made an entire movie about it.
Of course.
Of course, it's white culture. Oh gosh.
Yeah, so that was something interesting I learned. I was like, wow, other cultures have other stuff. So,
Well, we've got one more thing to go through,
of
and
course.
let me tell you, it's a lot. So we're going to try to do this as quickly as possible.
No. we're going to
Yes.
we're going to drag it out. So, our final argument is around this time of year, we have what's called homecoming here in America.
Yes. Yes.
Homecoming is a big deal. You have the homecoming game. It's usually you, you watch your
Usually
football
a football
team.
game. Hmm.
Yeah, usually a football game where you watch them destroy the other team. You usually try to get a really easy team to go against.
Now,
You
now,
have,
in I will say, in Texas, it is high school football that's homecoming, and
of
so
course,
the stereotype is very correct. High school football in Texas is some of the biggest things that happen in almost every town in Texas, big or small. High school football is a huge deal. So homecoming becomes like the pinnacle of October for a lot of schools.
yeah, it's a huge highlight. Now, what usually happens after the game? What, like the next day or something?
For my high school, it was always after the game.
Why am I asking you? You were homeschooled
I
anyway.
was I went to public school. You're the one who's homeschooled, which is why you were given the opposite of what we're about to argue.
Okay, so at the homecoming dance, usually held the next day, is there's usually what's called the homecoming court. Now, depending on how big or small your school is, um, they may nominate one guy, one girl for the homecoming court. They could do this by each grade, but generally it's usually just the seniors that are
Mm-hmm.
voted on.
That is correct.
And you have a homecoming king, homecoming queen. And so Matthew, since he's actually been to school, uh, he's going to defend this time honored tradition of
Mm,
having a homecoming court. While
yes.
I, on the other hand, am going to help. We're going to brainstorm what to replace it with.
Mm,
What could we do to make things more interesting? You
mm-hmm.
know, and so that's what we're going to do.
Yes. So, would you like me to go first since I'm the
I th-
traditionalist?
yeah, you dirty, rotten traditionalist. Sure, you go
Yeah.
first.
So, believe it or not, I had a ton of things to comb through for homecoming because
I
it is
believe
such
it.
a huge part of high school culture that there's going to be something about homecoming. But the one that stood out to me the most was a show I had never seen before. And so this was my first taste into this TV show. And
Okay.
it is a well-known TV show from the mid 90s to the early 2000s. And it is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, heck yeah, brother.
This was my first taste of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I had no idea who these characters were, but I have written another synopsis.
Well, I mean, it's clear there's one character named Buffy and she slays vampires.
Yes, which is weird because my my phone autocorrected to Buddy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. I like to imagine it's like Will Ferrell's character from Elf.
Oh my
He's all
gosh.
happy. He's like killing vampires in the name of Christmas and
And
Santa.
then he just goes, Santa.
For Santa, you
Oh
know?
gosh.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Anyways, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This comes from season 3 from the episode titled simply Homecoming.
Okay.
And so she has a group of friends that she walks around with, and one of her friends is the peppy cheerleader, stereotype girl, and her name is Cordelia. And now Cordelia is scouting out the competition of who's going to be against her for homecoming queen. And she looks at one girl who is a nice girl, but she's brain dead. And then she sees another girl who is, and I quote, open to all mankind, especially those with a Letterman jacket and a car.
Okay.
So yeah, she probably a wonderful Christian girl. Um, and so Buffy, she actually doesn't have a date to homecoming because
No.
in the episode, her current boyfriend Scott breaks up with her
Right before homecoming?
right before homecoming. And
That's
so
just rude.
she's trying to figure out what she's going to do trying to go to homecoming. And she works with another slayer, in which the slayers are the people that, you know, fight against the demons, vampires, and all other bad stuff.
Oh, I thought
So
they were like models.
no, a slayer is like a knife to the chest kind of killer.
Oh, I thought it was
But
like the Slay Queen type of model,
no, not quite. Oh, please never say that again. So Buffy is without a date, and another Slayer, whose name is Faith, says that both should just get with a couple of studs, use them, and discard them, which I think is very wrong. I
Yeah,
would
that's
hate to be
sexist.
used. That's Texist.
No, I said sexist, and then you said I would hate to be used, and I go, okay, that sounds like you want to be used,
No,
Matthew.
I don't want to be used. Anyways, Buddy agrees. Oh, it does not say Buddy every time. I think from here on out, it'll say Buffy.
Thank goodness.
Gosh, freaking Buddy
I
agrees,
can't.
and then
I
Buffy
can't
and
have
Faith go,
you.
"What the? Who the heck are you? I'm Buddy. Get out of here, Buddy." So Buffy agrees, and so while training with Faith, Buffy missed taking senior pictures because Cordelia never told her, and so
Ah,
Buffy has a vendetta that she says she will become homecoming queen instead of Cordelia.
oh,
And so
good for
and
her.
so there becomes a fight of trying to campaign for who's going to be the homecoming queen over who.
Yeah.
And so Buffy gathers some of her friends in the library and she begins to lay out a plan to beat Cordelia. But Cordelia shows up and reveals that Buffy's friends are actually working for her homecoming campaign.
No.
Yes. And so a montage begins showing
Ooh.
Buffy and Cordelia campaigning against each other. And there are also some bad guys that are trying to kill Buffy because she is a slayer. All in
Man,
the
that's
same
the worst.
montage, I tell you. In the
Hey,
same montage, you've got these high school girls passing out posters, talking to, boys they would never talk to, and then killers.
hey, that reminds me of a new which is the worst, which is the worst trying to, you know, like campaign against your best friend for homecoming queen
Mm,
or be murdered by assassins.
mm. Well, let me tell you, the night of homecoming arrives, and Buffy is forced by her friends to work out her differences with Cordelia. And so they both
Okay.
get into the limousine that all the friends pitched in their money to rent and drive together, but it's just the two of them. And so on their way to the dance, they were being followed by some bad guys, and
Oh,
their car comes to a sudden stop, and they exit the vehicle trying to figure out what's going on and where they are, and they come to the side of the road where there is a rock, and on the rock is a television and a VCR
terrifying.
because this is the 90s. And in the VCR is a tape that has a challenge of killing the two girls who are supposed to be Buffy and the other Slayer, Faith. Cordelia is not a
What?
Slayer. She is put in
No.
this situation with no ability to defend herself.
Oh no.
And so Buffy has to do what she can to defeat the bad guys and save Cordelia. And so the scene switches to the homecoming dance, which is as cringy as you would expect from a 90s sitcom.
No,
And
I don't know about that. I
well,
can
it was
imagine.
not fun. It was not fun to watch. Buffy's
Okay.
friends begin to wonder what's taking Buffy and Cordelia so long. And then the scene switches back to the girls doing whatever they can to survive. They fight these dudes in the forest. They make their
Oh,
way to a cabin, and while they're trapped in the cabin, they set aside their differences and do what they can to survive the challenge, all while trying to survive in their homecoming dresses.
no,
They're
they're
going
in dress.
they're going through these woods trying to fight off, supernatural beings trying to kill them in homecoming dresses.
They're in dresses the whole time, dude.
The whole challenge, there's there the whole
Dude.
time. And so Buffy finds a phone and calls for help. Giles, the one who is her trainer and her helper in all things Slayer related. It goes back. The scene again switches back to the dance. Giles goes to a phone, picks it up, and hears that Buffy's cry for help and saying, "What's going on?" And so he puts the phone down very gently in the sort of the shock and awe way, and he walks out of the room and begins to prepare what he can to go help Buffy. And so the girls, it goes back to the forest, and the girls have a heart-to-heart moments while killing aliens, vampires, and Germans.
There were Germans too?
There were Germans too.
Wait, were they like Nazi Germans or like
I
hey, want the bratwurst type of
no,
German?
that was the worst German accent I've ever heard. Um,
Hey, want the
uh,
bratwurst?
stop it. I have no idea what kind of accent that is. And so yeah, so the girls have a heart-to-heart moment while killing aliens, vampires, and Germans. The girls eventually make their way back to the high school, covered in dirt and blood. And they make it
Man.
just in time to hear the announcement of who the homecoming queen is. And it was a tie between
Oh,
the brain dead girl and the other very open girl. And so Buffy and
no.
Cordelia walk out of the gym dejected, but at least they are still alive.
Man. Gosh, I feel like I was there. Um you see, that's why after hearing your synopsis, I think that's why we got to replace it. Let's get rid of the homecoming court and come up with something new.
All right. So what do you suggest?
Well, I got two suggestions. Well, no, I got about three or four. Uh,
Okay.
but two of them, I asked my sisters. Okay, and this will explain to you, like, this will reveal the different attitudes both sisters have. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I asked one sister, and she goes, "We need to replace it where instead of the students vote on, I mean, on the fellow students being on homecoming court,
Mm-hmm.
teachers should vote."
No.
Yeah, she said that it would not be a popularity contest anymore with your peers, because the teachers would be doing it. And I said, well, wouldn't you just suck up to the teachers then? And she's like, well, you still have those jerk teachers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and surely they would be tough on kids.
Yeah.
So,
That will never
what
work.
do you, why? Why will that not work, Matthew?
It just won't.
I agree with you, but why?
I can't see it happening because I mean, teachers are supposed to grade according to the curve, and
Hmm.
when you have certain answers to certain things, it's very easy for teachers to grade. When you tell them to grade something subjectively according to their taste, you can get into some trouble.
Yeah.
And
I,
so I think it would be best to stay away from that. While I think it would be fun, I definitely think it
right.
could lead into some not great moments.
I think it would lead. Well, she did say that there could be like objective standards the teachers had to follow,
Mm.
but I think it would lead a lot of teachers into being busybodies and going, "Ooh, well, let's match make this kid with that kid." You
Ugh.
know, like like I could see him like shipping a lot. You
Yeah, the
know,
problem is they're minors.
yeah, that's true. Now that's one sister's thought.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
My other sister, and this will just show their differences in personality. The
Mm.
other sister goes, instead of voting for the most popular, you have to vote for who the lamest and weirdest kid is at school.
That would be the worst.
Uh-huh.
That would be
And she
so
said,
mean.
well, that's what I was saying, but she said, no, 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 it's like going to be a good thing.
No,
And
if the criteria is being the lamest and the
yeah,
worst, then that's not the award matches the criteria. It's not that the criteria matches the award. You're going to be known as the dumbest and the
well,
lamest.
and she said what we could do is then take all the lame and weird kids and send them to a special lame and weird
Concentration
school.
camp,
No, school.
same thing.
Concentrate. I mean, a special school full of other weird and lame kids. And then they can all just be weird and lame together. But
Man, we probably would have met there if you were in public school.
you leave me alone. I would have been homecoming king and queen. That's how popular I am.
Oh,
Wait. Uh Here's the thing though, Matthew,
oh,
is it at that school we could teach them how to be cool, you know? Like we could take the lame kids, teach them how to be cool.
there's a problem with this.
Okay.
The criteria for what is cool changes all the time.
Uh-huh.
And so if you get someone cool in one aspect, they
Mm-hmm.
they go back to school, they go back to normal school. And guess what? They're still cringe
Yeah.
because that thing that was cool no longer cool.
I know. It's not a perfect system, Matthew, but we gotta try.
It's not a perfect system because it is an extremely flawed system.
Mm. Okay.
We
Well, that was.
we both work with teenagers. We know how often things change in their minds.
I know. It's like the sea, waves on the sea,
Mm,
constantly changing.
it's yeah.
Okay, okay.
Mm,
You're not sold on those two ideas. I get that.
yep.
Uh, Here's one friend's suggestion.
Okay.
My friend Xander suggested a battle royale. Each sex and each grade fights to the death. Winners get to go to homecoming.
It's very obvious why this is a bad idea.
Why, Matthew?
They're killing each other.
Yeah,
The
it deals
whole
with
the
overpopulation.
well the
Yeah.
mm,
Uh huh.
mm,
There
mm.
will be less people. We will not be overpopulated.
Yes, but the problem is for public schools, the schools get money, a certain amount of money for the number of students that go to school.
Uh huh.
And so if you have a battle royale for, homecoming king and queen, the very next day your attendance is going to drop drastically and the school's not going to get as much money from the government.
Okay, but what if? Well, they don't need as much because they'll only have like 8 students tops.
No, dude, the football program needs more stuff.
Oh gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
What if? Okay. What if? See, with a battle royale type of thing where they have to fight to the death, the teachers could make like the betting scene would be great. The teachers could make bets on who
Nathan,
they think would win.
they're children.
Uh huh. And
There are laws against child labor. You
okay,
are
what if?
profiting. You are profiting. Oh, snap. Wait a second.
Huh?
They sell tickets to go to high school sporting events.
Yeah, and
Oh,
tickets to
snap.
go to the dance or whatever.
Oh,
So,
snap.
yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Look, it's just a bit of little lighthearted gambling, Matthew. I don't see the issue.
Well, it is outlawed in Texas.
Gambling?
Yep.
Hey, we need to wrap this up soon. I have some things I need to cancel.
I think, do you have anything else to say about it then?
Yes, I do. I have one last thing that we
All
could
right.
replace it with. Okay?
Okay.
One last idea. All
All
right?
right.
Didn't like any of the others, but this one I'm sure you'll like.
Okay.
We replace the homecoming court with the Supreme Court.
What in our 5 years of friendship
Yeah.
would make you think that I would want a Supreme Court?
See, they could teach the kids about the Constitution at the dances.
they're not going to listen to that any closer than where, than their history class. You know
Mm.
this.
No, well, if there's dancing and music involved, I would listen for sure.
No, you wouldn't. You
Yeah,
wouldn't be there to begin with.
I was like, wow, this Kanye West beat is pretty good. Also listening to like Judge Clarence Thomas. Is he still a judge? Now, I like how that was your big issue and not the logistics. Okay? Like, is it the federal Supreme Court? No, it would be like every state's own Supreme Court could fill in like a Friday, you know? And maybe not even all of them, maybe a couple members. I think it's a
No,
great idea.
I think it's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, teach kids to appreciate our government.
No, I don't think that is the best way to do it.
Okay.
So, well, on that disappointment, I think we all know who has successfully won that one. And
Yeah, me.
we're just gonna move right ahead and go ahead and cue the music. Well, folks, that's all we have for today. I hope that over these past two episodes, you've come to the realization of how wonderful the autumn season is, and I hope looking forward you can enjoy the season as much as Fallville, Vermont loves fall.
You know, here's what I want y'all to do. I want you to go outside, find your favorite hay bale bench, cozy up, with a blanket, a light jacket,
Mm,
maybe have your favorite beverage. Could be hot apple cider. It's
mm,
probably pumpkin spice lattes. And you just sit there and remember the good old days in high school when you were not part of the homecoming court.
absolutely, and you can do it while snuggling up with a loved one, listening to your favorite podcast, Absurd Arguments.
Yeah, we're no one's favorite podcast.
We happen to be my mom's favorite podcast, so there's that.
Aw,
There's that.
I'm sorry, Matthew's mom, for calling you a nobody.
Well, if in case you are somebody out there listening to this episode, we want to hear from you, and we have social media available. We are on Facebook and Instagram, and
Yep,
so you can go on there and figure out when our next episode drops.
yep. And you can email us too, compliments, complaints, ads,
Yes, if you'd like for us
ideas.
to advertise your small business, dadgummit, we'll do it.
Yep. Just email absurd arguments for you. That's the letter 4, the number U, at gmail.com.
No, 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 no.
What?
It is
Oh,
not the letter 4, the number U.
yeah? What is
It
it?
is, in fact, absurd arguments for you at gmail.com. And it is
Uh-huh.
absurd arguments, the number 4, the letter U at gmail.com.
Oh. No
Yes.
wonder we've been getting emails, dude.
I know we've sent people to the wrong email address, but now you have the right email. So
Yeah.
please talk to us.
Yeah, we're lonely.
Yeah. I'm on fall break this week. I'm not going to leave my apartment very much, so I'd like an email. That would be
Yeah,
nice.
that would be.
Well, Nathan, do
Anyway,
you have any parting words for us?
yeah. Let's have a good fall, everybody. Break.
Mm, yeah. Do you want to try something else?
No. Okay, fine. Uh, hey, look, from me and the folks here at Fallville, I hope you have a wonderful autumn.
Yep. Have a wonderful autumn, and we will see you all next time. See you later.
Bye bye.